Hi, I'm Karl Konrad and welcome to Australian Immigration News. This channel is brought to you by Australian Immigration Law Services, the company I founded more than 25 years ago right here in Sydney. Earlier in the week, we covered the Australian government's new migration strategy release. Tonight, we shall do an analysis of what we can expect in the future based upon what we know so far. The migration strategy booklet released last Monday is more of a slick marketing publication than a detailed plan. Where is the new migration strategy taking us? Will it be a voyage of enlightenment, or will it sink the hopes of many to gain residency in Australia? Well, we all knew that ending was a bit gloomy, but unfortunately it does sum up how many international students will feel when this strategy starts to be implemented. The Minister of Home Affairs has dodgy colleges and students who are just here to work in her sights for removal, and fair enough, nobody really cares about them. However, what does concern us is the hard-working international students who have come here on the promise of opportunities. However, we find this new strategy plans to make many of those opportunities disappear. Many will find the minister's attitude as she projected on national television on Monday night more than disturbing.
Your point about staying a long time is very important, so if I can just briefly address that. One of the issues we have is not just the way the student visas are being used, but the former government left open these incredibly long graduate visas so that a student could stay and do perhaps a 4-year course at university, and then they might have 9 years in Australia where they could continuously extend their graduate visa. Now, that's not fair on them when there's not a pathway to permanency at the end of it, and it's certainly not fair on us because it builds that population of people in our country who are permanently temporary. So we are going to scale that right back and bring graduate visas back to a 2-year period, after which it's time for people to either transition onto a skilled visa or return to their home country.
Not fair on us? Really? The government didn't seem to have that attitude when they were begging international students to stay longer during the pandemic, and then immediately afterwards when we were suffering the skills shortages. They were handing out extensions to the 485 visa at the drop of a hat. What is amazing is that Claire O'Neill is trying to shift the blame to the Liberals, considering the minister herself just this July gave international students access to the longest graduate visas in history. The Labor government in June announced it was giving international students an additional 2 years if they completed any PhD, taking their graduate visa up to an astonishing 6 years, and another 2 years for a specific 3,700 bachelor or master degree programs, taking their 485 visa to a record of 5 years, and 4 years for the bachelor students. This new migration strategy is a betrayal to those who started one of these courses on the promise of obtaining their extra long graduate visa. In fact, this government fact sheet is still on the government website promoting the 485 extension program when in fact it is doomed to be removed. However, it is no longer just about the length of the graduate visa anymore. Anyone over 35 will not be able to access the 485 visa probably by July, according to the government's own action timetable. Our YouTube channel was full of the voices of concerned students of whether at the end of their courses they will have any access to the 485 visa since they will be over 35. We are hoping there will be a reasonable phase-in time for students who have already started their courses. It would have been fair and reasonable for the Immigration Department to announce their intentions rather than make current students stress out. Many students like Vidya wrote into the channel understandably stressed and worried. She wrote in and said, "Hi Karl, I am an onshore student enrolled in an MBA which will be completed in July 2024. With the trust of getting the opportunity for the post-study workstream, I have sacrificed everything and came to this country to get a good education and then international experience. But by next July I will be above the age of 35, as the majority of international students in the country right now. We have spent what we took from our home country as well as what we earn here. If this was announced to us at the time we were enrolled, we would have gone for another option. But now this is very unfair for the current students who are already in the country who are about to finish their studies. This is impacting our current studies as well as most of us are depressed due to this unfair decision. The new students will come knowing this, but we are helpless. So please help us, the current students, to voice out this unfairness. Please be the voice for us, as well all have families, and we can't just go back and expect employers to pay us more just because we have an Aussie qualification, which we could have done staying in our home country with our loved ones. But we took the risk and came to this country to gain the qualification and the experience both. So please help us. Vidya, you can be sure we will be stressing your concerns to the Minister's office, so fingers crossed for all of you. What is surprising is that Universities Australia don't seem to care at all about this issue, given the media comment of Katronia Jackson, Universities Australia Chief Executive.
What we can see from the education sector, from the university sector, is this is a set of changes that will simply make all the incentives, all the messages we're sending through the visa system clearer and make the journey for students better.
Earlier in the interview, she claimed to have read all of the migration strategy booklet, and I am somewhat surprised by her attitude. However, that may change when students start jumping out of their courses, for there is no point of completing them without access to the graduate visa when they finish. And what about the new Genuine Student Test, the GST? What do we know about it? As yet, we haven't seen anything, but I can guess what it will be like. It will be just a rebranded Genuine Temporary Entrant Test, the dreaded GTE. You know, the one they use whenever they want to refuse people for any reason. I'm sure we will see again genuine students from India, Nepal and Pakistan and more refused en masse, citing they failed the new GST test, regardless the fact that they may actually be genuine students. And what about the new Skills in Demand visa? This new visa is simply a rebranding of the current 482 visa. It will still require business sponsorship approval, and for the high income stream, there may not be an occupation to specify, but overall the structure will be the same as the 482. And it will probably be just as complicated. We do expect to see a concession of lowering the standard 2 years of work experience requirement for international students who have studied in Australia. This will at least give some hope of those under 35 years of age to be able to find an employer to sponsor them, and a hope for PR pathway by staying here to work. However, why wait till the end of the year to get the ball rolling? There seems to be no reason not to incorporate now the new Skills in Demand occupation list into the current 482 regulations. And this new Skills in Demand proposed visa did bring lots of criticism to the government as to why it left tradies out of the high income stream. Are they not worthy too? Lots of them get more than $135,000, so why can't they apply? Of course, there is an argument that we should have taken tradies instead of fresh international students so we can have the houses built for everyone, as this typical media segment demonstrates.
So what is it, Bridget? You think what, there's 600,000 people's too many, yet you're complaining that we're not bringing enough people in. You can't be fish nor fowl here. Which is it? Are you going to criticise us for too many people or not enough people?
Bring in the people we need. You let overseas migration with students go through the roof to protect universities. And what Australians need is cheaper rents and houses they can afford. So let the tradies in instead of making it harder.
What we need is your magic pudding.
All right, let's move on.
Personal attacks.
It is expected that those who obtain this new Skills in Demand visa in the future will still have access to PR after 2 years of working for their employer. And those who are currently on the 482 visa, we do not think you have anything to worry about. Your access to permanent residency visa via the 186 Employer Nomination Scheme should still be retained. And now to the new points test. This is a further worry for international students. There is little doubt, showing their attitude and handling of the 485 visa, that the new points test will be brutal for former international students. Fortunately, there seems to be time before it comes out, according to their action plan, perhaps not until the end of next year. However, when it does, it is likely that international students in Australia will have little chance of competing with people who have significant experience in their occupations. The writing is on the wall. If you are planning to use the 189 visa, international students may not be competitive unless you can prove you've been able to get a job in your occupation in Australia after your studies. However, there may be an exception to this. Former international students in occupations of high demand, such as nursing, teaching, medicine, engineering, etc., may be given additional points within the new points system, or perhaps there will be a new express pathway for them to PR. Now, there will still be the state-sponsored visas, for the states and territories will want international students to come and study in their regions. You will notice that the extra time on the 485 visa will still be there to those who study in regional areas. The quota system given to them for the 491 and 190 visa that exists today will be demanded by the regions so they can decide what occupations they want depending on the specific requirements of their states and territories. I'm sure the department will release more information in dribs and drabs as the next year progresses. So stay tuned to this channel for more updates as they come along. Now remember, all of my team are just as good as me to talk to, perhaps even better. So if I'm booked out, they can look after you too. We'll be back just before New Year's Day with an entertaining review of the year that was. So to all of you, have a great Christmas, take care out there, and I'll see you next time. So bye for now.